It's me, Frank Jr. Love you.
Hey, Dad. Boy, do I miss you.
So first, let me start by saying the movie is really, really funny, and thank you for making me laugh.
Well, thank you for laughing. Thank you for seeing it. Thank you for having me.
So I got a bunch of questions, and I like, asking other stuff first instead of saving it to the end, because that's the way I do it now. So you know how much I love Chip and Dale, and I'm curious, did Disney ever tell you like how well it did, or are you still in the dark?
I'm still in the dark. I mean, to me, as a civilian looking at it, I think it was kind of like a lot of streaming titles where a bunch of people saw it. It was awesome that we won the Emmy for Best TV Movie, because that's what it was. And then it kind of just becomes part of the library. And I keep wanting to actually have a meeting over there. I just haven't had the time, where I pitch them like, why don't you take the ones that you own that become kind of just in the library and make a block and like put them on Netflix for 2 years and see if they find new people, and then, or put them on, like license them out a little bit. The way movie studios, the way they do for their other movies, where you might see, I don't know, Maleficent might be on HBO for all I know. You know what I mean? Like, why do the ones that are made for Disney Plus why can't they then put those over into their other ecosystems that allow them to travel around and kind of meet new people?
Yeah, I listen, I agree with you. I also understand that it's like they're trying to build up their streaming service. So the exclusive titles, like I see both sides of it, but The movie is awesome and it needs more people to see it. Just throwing that out there.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
So I don't know what you can say, but when am I going to hear news about I Think You Should Leave season 4?
I mean, they have a deal and they've been writing sketches, but they also have the HBO show and they got to finish up that season. So there is, I don't have a date or anything like that, but just know there are sketches that I have not read that they have written.
So Tim told me a while ago, it might've been, I guess it's almost been a year. He's like, I have good, like he was basically being evasive, but he's like, it's coming. Like it was one of those things where it's like, it was clear that it's, you know what I mean?
They want to do it and Netflix wants it, so it will happen. It's just that they are doing this season of this HBO show that they got to wrap that up, and then I'm assuming then they'll switch gears back to it.
Well, at least it's good news that it's not dead, No,
it's not. It is not dead.
Yeah. So in last year, you guys, Lonely Island, did a short Sushi Glory Hole. I think it was your first short in like 5 years. I've been
doing press for Naked Gun for like this whole week, and I kept thinking somebody was going to bring it up because it's the last thing I did besides this. And you are somehow the first person. So thank you, because I'd love to talk about Sushi Glory Hole, and nobody brought it up.
I don't want to say, I'm not going to say anything except to say I'm glad I'm the first one. So the thing about that is that it was for the 50th anniversary. You guys hadn't done one in like 5 years. How much pressure did you guys put on yourselves to deliver something that was funny? You know what I mean? And like worthy of the 5-year break.
We got lucky in a couple ways. Thank you for thinking it was worthy. I was very proud of that one, but we got lucky in that the writer's strike, not that that was lucky, but during the writer's strike, one of the things we could do was make songs. So me and Andy and Yorm on certain off weeks would just get together and make songs, not knowing where they'd end up or if we'd one day get an album together. And we made a lot of songs because it was the only thing that we could do. And then the other thing that happened is that SNL and Lauren and Andy got together and were like, oh, you should play Kamala's husband, Doug. So all of a sudden, Andy was kind of getting back in the rhythm. He was flying there every week, doing the thing with Maya. So he was back in the mix. So it was easy to be like, oh, we should do a short. And the 50th kind of gave an excuse, but Andy was already there. And then it wasn't the high stakes thing that it used to be of like, we'll come up with one on Tuesday. We were like, oh, we have that song we made during the strike. So it was a bunch of great things coming together. I was very busy editing Naked Gun. So the only thing that was really hard was being like, to the studio people who are, you spend a lot of money every week holding a staff together to edit a movie, and me having to go like, I'm going to bail out on Wednesday of this week and just be gone the rest of the week.
You mentioned that you guys were writing songs. How many songs did you guys write that you feel that are like worthy? for like an album or for the future?
We wrote like 10, we have like 10 to 20 demo version, rough drafts of songs. And I think a lot of them would be worthy of being on an album. I don't know how many Sushi Glory holes we have necessarily right now, but we have a lot of tracks that we think are funny.
So how much did you debate which song would be the one that you make the short on? Or was it clear that it was going to be Sushi Glory Hole?
There was a little bit of debate, but then that was the one that felt like what we wanted to do. And Yorma, I don't think was available. I forget where he was, but he was not around. So one that's just me and Andy was also part of the equation.
What is the status of these songs, of you guys possibly doing an album? Like, what's the status of The Lonely Island right now in terms of either A, touring again, or B, new stuff?
I mean, we make the podcast with Seth Meyers every week, so that's keeping us in each other's space in a really nice way. And then we have these songs. So we need to figure out how, we did 2 on the show too, because we also did Here I Go, the one with Andy and Charlie XCX. And so those were both strike songs. So we kind of want to record a couple more and polish them all up and mix them and maybe get some guests and then figure out if there's a game plan. So much like I think you should leave season 4, it's on the horizon, but I don't know when.
So so when I saw Naked Gun, it was in LA, it was the first screening, and I've seen Seth MacFarlane intro a few projects now, like intro some screenings. And every single time I've seen him intro, it is the funniest 4 to 5 minutes. Like he kills. And it's because clearly either A, he's writing his stuff, or B, his writing team is writing a killer 4 to 5 minutes.
I assumed he wrote it, but I didn't pry. I didn't go, wait a minute. Who wrote that? But it was a shockingly good 4 minutes or 5 minutes where I was on the side of the stage having prepared nothing, just having kind of gotten up and like, all right, yeah, you need me to intro? Okay, I'll say hi to the crowd and say thanks for coming. And then all of a sudden he's up there just with like index cards, just ripping one-liner after one-liner.
Yeah. I was going to say, for people that are watching this who can never see Seth MacFarlane intro a movie, he will kill. He does not mess around. It's like murder after, you know what I mean?
It's why he is who he is.
100%. So the next big question I'm going to ask you is, why the F are studios not making more comedies?
Oh, man, I have no clue about that. I feel like you and your fellows at Collider probably have written the think pieces and probably have more in the hopper and have a more bird's eye view of the industry and probably have the theories. I don't know. For me and maybe Andy and Yorm, I'd say, like as a group, I don't really feel those shifts of being inside the business. I feel them the same as viewers, where I'm like, oh, I don't get any more Farrell McKay movies. Like that was it. Like we used to count on every 2 to 3 years them giving us a new Other Guys or Step Brothers or Anchorman or whatever. And I just miss them. I miss seeing them. I miss there being a new Ben Stiller, a new Tropic Thunder, something like that. Anyway, so I'm more on the fan side of not knowing, because on our side, we've always operated in the fringes a little and just do whatever we're going to do.
Have Liam and Pamela sent you a thank you card for their relationship?
They haven't.
I'm messing around. I never ask about personal lives, but that one I had to.
It's open season now, but I have no insights.
Yeah, no, I'm messing around. I don't care who's dating who. So one of the things about you co-wrote the script, and I'm just so curious, how did it change? Like, I'm always curious how things change in the development process. So the 3 of you sit down, you're writing, like, did you originally have like a much different idea? Like how much, like talk about where you started to what people see.
God, that's a very good question, because now that it's been a couple years since we started, when we're iterating so fast and like writing a whole first act that gets thrown away and then the best jokes from it somehow make their way into new drafts. When we were trying to figure it out, I would say like we were operating on 2 tracks at once. One was just brainstorming jokes, set pieces that you don't even know how they'll fit in, but just identifying tropes. Sure. Just going like, when somebody breaks their cell phone because it's a burner and now they can't get traced. That's an area where we could do, and I have a note stock on my phone that with no context just has like break phone, then ask somebody to borrow their phone, breaks their phone, then breaks a landline, then breaks a walkie-talkie. That's not in the movie, but like that just goes. So, or oh, Mission Impossible, the walls fall down. What can you do with that? Oh, other walls fall down. Like, how do they build the sets? Does the Ethan Hunt's team just have fake hospitals and hotel rooms and a big soundstage in every continent on Earth ready to trick people? Like, who are the builders who painted, like, what's the electrician doing to build that? Just like all the questions you have if you're in this mindset watching all these movies. So there's that pile that's just like, God, it'd be so good to get any of that into this movie. And then there's the other thing, which is just trying to find the story that will be the most, the best version to make sure it can work and that it can stay interesting and that the jokes will work. And I feel like of those two, we wrote thousands of jokes that don't make it in, and we cracked different, broke different stories that weren't the story ultimately. But I don't remember great examples to give you.
I understand. When you guys were writing, was the studio sort of saying, hey, if you finish the script by August, you can probably make it? Like, was there any sort of deadline put on you by anyone to like deliver by a certain point?
It wasn't as much that as much as it was just full steam ahead from the moment I said yes and they agreed to letting me, hire Dan and Doug and then Dan and Doug agreed to letting me be a third of the writing team because they are a writing team and this was the three of us together the entire time. And once that all was going, we treated it like we were greenlit from that moment, even though we very much weren't. But because it's so rare to have like a studio that goes, we have Liam Neeson, he's interested. We want to make it. We think it's a good idea. We just don't have a director or a script. So it's all on you. And a lot of times you're fighting uphill, it's a battle to convince people. These people are already convinced. They just don't have somebody making it. And I just saw it as such a rare opportunity in that moment. So we treated it like it was a greenlit TV show. We showed up to my office every day, Monday through Friday, and just like, we were moving so fast, I would turn things into the studio and go, by the time you give me notes, I'm going to have a completely different version. And then I would, and then just give them that one. Like we were going fast. But yeah, there wasn't a deadline, but and the strike did make it take longer. But as far as these things go, it was fast.
Yeah, it's so interesting that you say that because people don't understand how rare that is. Because normally everyone is trying to convince the studio to make a movie and to land the star and to do the scheduling. And the fact that they were very interested in this project, it's so unusual.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I took it very seriously. And the fact that it was Liam. That was the real thing.
How long did it actually take you guys from beginning to end to write this thing?
What's funny is when people have asked me that, I kept saying it's been 2 years, but I was forgetting that there was like a writer's strike and these things that actually, so the first phone call or Zooms I had with Paramount and Fuzzy Door was, I've been saying 2 years, but it is 3 years. It was the summer, it was almost to the day. It was like August of 2022. Was just like the first like, hey, would you ever be interested in a Naked Gun? And then we started writing in the fall. So let's say October. So from October of then with a hiatus for the strike and with then another, and then, from then to, and then we shot it last summer.
So I'm praying that this is a huge hit because I want it to be a huge hit for you guys, but B, I want more comedies. And like, it's important to me that this one performs for many reasons, but I also would love to have more of this because it's really fucking funny. So how much have you guys thought about if it is a hit? Would we want to make another? Like, is it, you know what I mean? Like, are you interested in the sequel?
I do, but I also like don't want to jinx it with that kind of talk. And I've been burned every time almost before. And so, but yeah, everything's on the table. We'll see if people will go see it. I have no clue. I have no clue if they'll actually, everyone just, you really think of a movie like this, just speaking of like Happy Gilmore 2, another legacy sequel, a comedy 1 week ago, you expect it to come to your house. And so I don't blame anybody for expecting that. But as someone like yourself who was at a theater with people seeing it, it does make you immediately remember and go, oh my God, this is fun to be in here. But if you haven't done that recently, then you kind of have forgotten and kind of go, it's fine, I'll wait. So I wouldn't blame anybody, but I do hope people show up.
Yeah, there's nothing like being in a sold out theater and everyone laughing. So you know that I'm obsessed with the editing process, and especially on a comedy, because people don't realize the importance of editing with jokes like this. You know what I mean? It's everything.
It's the whole thing.
Whole thing. So
we could easily have ruined the movie with the same exact footage. It would actually be more likely we would.
You hit the nail on the head. So I'm curious, how much footage you guys actually assemble? Was it one of these things where you had a lot more footage and you're trying to bring it down to like 90 minutes of like the best stuff? Like, talk a little bit about the editing process.
Yeah, but not like when you're on an Apatow one where we can improvise everything. Like you could make a 3-hour cut of Popstar and then get it down to 88 minutes. This, it's not a bunch of people riffing. It's not being like, hey, go get loose, Jonah Hill, do anything where all of a sudden him and Seth can go for 45 minutes on a new topic. These jokes have to be really scripted and planned out. That being said, in the writing process, once we just even trying to beat a joke, you end up with 10 versions of the same joke. And you never know which one's actually going to be the funniest on the day coming out of an actor's mouth. So the one that's funniest on the page, sometimes the third alt that you shrugged about, Liam says it with a little twinkle in his eye, and that's the funniest one. So what we did have was a lot of alts of each thing. But yes, it was about a 115-page script, and I knew it was going to be 85 minutes because Naked Gun 1 is 85 minutes. Naked Gun 2.5 is 85 minutes. And I was like, this one, that is my goal. And we are 85 minutes. And every one of these in this genre are under 90 minutes that we love. All the Airplanes and Top Secrets and Austin Powers and Borat and everything. They're all under 90. So I knew that was the target. But yeah, so it definitely kept shrinking and shrinking as we fine-tuned it. But it was like, I would say it went from 95 to 85. Like I was able to get it to 95 without even an audience, just me going like, all right, here's the shape. And then that last 10 minutes came down over the last 6 months.
Eventually this will be out, hopefully on Blu-ray. And so I'm just curious if you've already thought about doing like, line-orama or alt takes or the extras.
Those actually, we already had to turn them in because you have to do it before you shut editorial down while the avids are still up. So it was a scramble in the last week of me doing sound mix. My editor and his assistant were just assembling every deleted thing they could think of. And it's a lot of them. There's line-oramas. There's tons of stuff. It's going to be great. And then sometimes I think of one now and go, we forgot about that one. So there's definitely a few that we missed, but there's a lot in there.
Okay. I have time for one more, and I'm definitely going to ask about a certain animal. When I saw it, a kitchen sequence, the two of them, I don't want to spoil anything for people that haven't seen it. There's an animal sequence, and it's hysterically funny. Like, talk a little bit about putting that sequence together, because I mean, the entire audience loses their shit. It's so
You're
so
talking
funny.
about the infrared one, right?
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to speak freely now, but please don't ruin this for yourselves.
Yeah.
The trailers already are lovely, but they show things like it's so nice when the audience has no clue what's coming on everything. But that one, there is a shadow puppet joke in, oh my God, which one is it? It's not the first Naked Gun. God, is it the third? In one of the three. Oh my God, I'm blanking which one it's in because I can't remember the content. But there is a shadow puppet joke. And it made me go like, oh wow, there's one. And then of course the most famous, most recent ones, still a long time ago, was in Austin Powers 2, where they do a ton. So we were wary to do it again because we know that one's pretty famous. But we also felt like we had a right because our source material had a shadow puppet joke, a shadow box kind of thing. And it's kind of a part of the genre. There was all the tropes of the genre of spoof, and we were kind of cherry picking the ones we wanted to continue the legacy of Zaz and Pat Proft into the future on all of them. So this is one where we were like, I think we want to do this anyways. And so, and we thought we had kind of a fresh take on it, and because it's kind of taking it into, the 2000s up till now, tech spoof, you know what I mean? The gun from, was it Eraser, the Schwarzenegger movie with the tech gun that would see through walls?
I honestly don't remember if that was the movie.
I guess you got to revisit Eraser.
I don't know if I have to. I was going to be like, I don't know.
You do. You got it. But But yeah, so then we just started we went, and they're actually, when you watch those deleted scenes on a Blu-ray or on the extras on your iTunes purchase or whatever, wherever they'll live in the future, there's an extra section of that joke. And it was one of our last debates of whether to put it in or not. So since we're spoiled, I don't want to spoil it for even people that don't care about spoilers. That's why I'm not really talking about the specifics. I don't trust. I'm gonna look right at the camera. I don't trust you at home to not just go, I don't care. I'll just keep listening, and I don't want to ruin it. But it took it to a much crazier place for one more beat that ultimately polarized the audience between the people that were like, yes, you even took it to a crazier place, and the people that were like, nope, too far. And in general, I'm okay doing that, and I just want to take it to the crazier place. But I kind of went back and watched all the screenings, friends and families, test screenings, and the laugh is just the biggest right where we got out. And then it would always be this half laugh on the next one. And momentum is king in these movies. So I was like, all right, let's just keep plowing forward. But it was fun doing it because you know who Fatal Farm are? It's this guy, Jeff and Zach, and they do a lot of commercial work, but they used to do a thing called, like, not discovered them, but I first was, they came into my life when I saw something called Lasagna Cat, and it was these live action recreations of Garfield strips that are on the internet. And then they also did stuff that was like reimagined 80s TV show openings. So it'd be like the ALF opening, but you should go look up their website.
I've actually seen some of, I think I've seen some of this.
One that's a live action DuckTales where
I think
it's like a SWAT team.
I think I've seen some of these, but didn't know who did it.
You know did you ever see the Robocop movie where everyone did scenes from Robocop and they assembled a homemade version of Robocop from like filmmakers?
Saw the Indiana Jones one.
Got it. Yes. There's a Robocop one and their section is very memorable. Anyways, they did like Coffin Flop. They directed that for us because they are able, Coffin Flop from I Think You Should Leave. Yeah. So all those bodies falling out of shit wood and hitting pavement. They're amazing at special effects and at comedy and at doing both and understanding it and doing it for no money. So like we make I Think You Should Leave for nothing. And I was like, there's no way we can do this sketch with ours. But if we just hand it to them and let them guest direct it, they're going to go off and figure it out. And that's Coffin Flop, like one of the best of all time. Anyways, I had the same thing with this heat vision scene where I was like, God, there's a lot of choreography needed here. And I'm worrying about a whole movie. I need like a choreographer to come in with like cardboard boxes on a soundstage and figure out where the oven should be versus the kitchen island versus, where the dog should enter, so that from 100 feet away in binoculars, everything will flatten to the right spot and we legitimately get this correct and do it for real. And they went off into like a warehouse in LA and goofed around. First, they did it in previs in a computer and then went off in a warehouse and figured it all out for me, basically. And it was so rad. It was like using stunt people to do stunt viz, where then I could tweak it and talk to them. And then I flew them out to where we were shooting on the day to do it. And they helped me get all the heat vision footage. And we used a real heat vision camera, a real infrared camera. It's not VFX for that. And then I directed Liam and Pam on the next day to do the real stuff. And that's how we did it.
I think I have a similar sense of humor to you, and I really want to see what the extra one was, but you probably made the extra beat, but you probably
I can tell you once we're off air.
Yeah. I'll just say, I do want to hear it. I'll just say you probably made the right choice because having everyone laughing is the right place to stop that sequence. It's always Blu-ray, but listen, I want to hear it. But obviously thank you for everything on this movie. I like laughing.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for watching.